In the description down below, you can find a link to Micro Center with a $100 off coupon on this amazing computer, as well as a free drone coupon, no purchase necessary. That's right, folks. Print out that coupon, go into your local Micro Center, and get a free drone without even buying anything. Hello, everybody. We are here with your Sobek guide today. We'll be playing Sobek in the support role. He does pop up every now and then over in the solo lane, but support is definitely his traditional role. So we'll be grabbing our traditional support items with a Guardian's Blessing, 4 health potions, our Hand of the Gods. We've got a Neath with us. We've got OK Clear. They've got a Hooyi Nike, Hooyi Capri lane. So they're probably going to have a little bit better clear than us, but we should still be able to be decently aggressive. So I'm going to get us a ranked up shout for a little bit of a brawl over in the duo lane. Sobek, one of the oldest, most aggressive supports in the game. Really, Sobek and Bacchus were the original aggressive supports. Sobek holds up much better to this day than Bacchus does at this point. Although Bacchus is getting a small buff in the upcoming patch. So at least that's nice for him. We'll be starting off getting our 3. This is our Sickening Strike. It is a cone-based ability in front of us that is pretty much instant cast once we press it. This is going to do damage to everybody in front of us, and it is also going to heal us. That heal is going to be per target up to 3 targets hit. So it could be 2 minions and a god, 3 minions, 3 gods. It doesn't actually matter. Either way, it's going to get you that nice heal. You can also see that our Neath right here was actually waiting back. That's the proper play. He was waiting back far, so I got the solo credit for the ghost minion. That solo credit for the ghost minion means that I am going to get level 2, which means now this guy is completely stuck because I've got my pluck and he has nowhere to go, and I'm going to pluck him and we're going to get the first blood right there. So this is a really, really, really important thing to do in the duo lane. That Neath just did all by himself. Whichever one of you in the duo lane is the more aggressive level 2 character, doesn't matter if it's the support or the ADC, whoever is the more aggressive character, make sure that they get solo credit for clearing the ghost minion, because that will let them hit level 2 when the wave is cleared. If you split perfectly the whole wave in the purple buff, you will not get level 2. Neither of you will. And you're missed out on that kill opportunity. One more thing that our Siphoning Strike still does that is worth mentioning is that it is also anti-heal. So the 3 has a 50% anti-heal on it, and this lasts for 4 seconds. And yes, all anti-heal abilities in Smite stack with things like items. So this is an anti-heal ability, but not only does it do that anti-heal, yoink! It is also going to stack with a Pestilence, it is stack with a Divine whatever, so you can really easily get that up to near 100%. Our ability that you've seen us get 2 kills is Sobek's most important ability, and that is our Pluck. Charge Prey. You charge forward. If you hit an enemy god or anything, really a minion, you do damage to them, and then you fling them right on behind you. This is a very quick movement ability. It happens very fast. It can be beads, so if the enemy gets hit by it, and if they react quick enough, they can beads to kind of prevent themselves from getting thrown. But this is his absolute most important ability. The most important ability to be hitting constantly on Sobek. It's going to get you so many kills. Our second ability, which is the ability that we got level 3, is our Tail Whip. This ability is going to do a whipping motion all around us, and it is going to knock up enemy minions and enemy gods hit. So that's all this ability does. Literally just damage. Whoop! Yoink him right on back. Just damage and a knockout. That's going to be a dead Capri right there. And we're going to keep chilling. Our passive on Sobek, you can see that some of these abilities are a little bit simpler. That's because Sobek is a really old god. Honestly, Neath is also a really old god. This is kind of a classic a classic lane right here. So a lot of Sobek's abilities are pretty straightforward. There's not these crazy wall attacks like some of the new gods have. But that doesn't mean that he's not good. Simple doesn't mean bad. It just means a little bit more simple. So if you look over here at our passive meter, we have the 3 hot dogs of destiny. Those 3 hot dogs of destiny are going to be giving you protections. So when you go up and when you basic attack, you're going to be grabbing up to these 3 hot dogs. These 3 hot dogs are going to grant you 4 protections each, plus an additional 0.3 per level, and they last for 6 seconds. So just gonna make Sobek a little bit tankier while he's all up in people's faces, doing some damage. Your abilities will also proc this. So instead of going up and auto-attacking in order to proc them, you can just use, you know, your Siphoning strike or something and get those protection stats on your character. For our boots, we're going right into cooldown boots. Sobek, as we mentioned earlier, is one of the most aggressive supports in the game to this day. He really was always designed to be this way. And because of that, we get him just a little bit of CDR here at the start of the game. Talaria boots are also viable because you get additional movement speed to help you get in the range of your plucks. But I do prefer the CDR boots because your ability damage on Sobek is not bad at all, particularly for the first 10 minutes of the game. Finally, we have our ultimate on Sobek, which is a big, fat, damaging ability. We will jump into the water. We will submerge ourselves. And we will start channeling an ability. Everybody around us will be slowed around our target location. And when we pop this ability again, we will pop out and do damage. If we let the ability channel all the way, it will do the max damage. Otherwise, it will do partial damage depending on how long you have charged it for. While you are also submerged, you are regaining 10% mana per second. So you can stay underneath the floor for about 5 seconds, meaning you can regain 50% mana by just staying under the floor. Of course, if you pop this early, you're going to pop out of that mana regen early as well. This ability is mostly used to slow people down in order for your team to catch up to them. It's a great zoning ability because nobody wants to stand near it. For all intents and purposes, I want you to imagine this ability as like a moving Ymir ulti and how scared you would be to be in the range of a moving Ymir ult. Same kind of concept. It does a little bit less damage, but you hit it a lot more consistently. I'm going to go pretty aggressive on this. I'm just going to pluck myself in. I know who you jump is down, so I can stick in range of him. He pops the beads to immune the slow, but both of these guys are still going to be in range. I'm going to let it channel all the way to max, and we're going to hit them both for about 300 damage. We force the beads out for the ulti. It's a great trade. You are also CC immune while you're in this ability. You're under the water, so you can't be stunned or anything. You can be blocked off by walls and stuff. You're not like immune to a Thor wall or a Ymir wall or anything. You are still physically on the map, and you do still take damage. What we just did right there under the tower is we got the Huyi really low, and his jump was down. I knew the Capri was going to be looking towards him to try to throw down his ultimate for the resurrection onto Huyi. So instead of going for the Huyi for the kill and proccing Capri ult, I instead plucked the Capri, which meant he was CC'd and couldn't use his ulti, which allowed Neith to just use his ultimate and grab the kill right there. We're going to be backing up and getting an item that you see on aggressive supports quite often. This is Stone of Binding. Stone of Binding is going to give us a little bit of early power plus protections. And when we hit an enemy god with crowd control, hour 1, hour 2, whatever, it's going to reduce their protections, magical and physical, by 10. Very good early aggressive item for supports. If you're going to pick up an item before Thebes on your support, Stone of Binding is the item that I recommend. This is going to be a pretty common pickup on gods like Bacchus, on gods like Sobek, that are really going for that early aggression to put the enemy team behind and get your team ahead. After this, we will be getting our Gauntlet of Thebes because it is just such a flippin' good item. So stat efficient, so much HP and protections and HP 5, everything you could possibly want. But Stone of Binding is going to let us be really aggressive really early. So that rot started to ultimate, meaning I could channel my pluck to be right after he was going to come out of that CC immunity, thus leaving him susceptible to my pluck, getting ourselves a free kill. As soon as I pluck them, I throw down my ulti. That slows him down. A little Neathal helps us wrap up that kill. Gonna throw down some aggressive wards into the jungle this game. When you're playing Sobek, you should be playing him very aggressively. You should be rotating around the map. You can gank the mid lane, the solo lane. You can go back to dual lane, gank that. It doesn't actually matter. As long as you are playing aggressively, you're in a good spot. Throw down a shout from my Arthur right here. Just trying to keep the pressure on Robin. Looking for Raw as he comes in. I'm going to pluck him right towards my team. Use my 3, the Siphoning Strike, to put that anti-heal on him the second he comes out of Fenrir's mouth, using my tail whip for the knockup, using my body to try to keep him out of range. This is very aggressive, but I'm gonna go for the pluck under tower. I am not gonna land it. This actually might get me killed. I'm gonna throw back my 3 to get some healing off of it. Reminder that your Siphoning Strike also heals you.
Keep us posted, Tony.
So for our leveling ability here on Sobek, you can see that we're grabbing our ultimate whenever we can. When we rank up our ulti, it's going to increase the slow at every rank, as well as the maximum damage. For a Guardian ability, it ends at 950 damage. This damage stays relevant all game long. So you level up your ultimate first, then you level up your 3 to max. This is going to increase the amount of damage that it does, as well as this heal, meaning that if we hit the full 3 targets, this is easily an over 200 hit point heal. So if I walk up to these minions right here, I go from 630 health to about 850 health. Really gonna help us sustain, stay around. We combine that with our Guardian's Blessing procs. If I walk up 3 a wave and then Gooby like kills them all with his ability, I'm gonna get so much sustain off of the combination of those effects. Then we've got our 2 that we're gonna rank up. This is purely just gonna be damage. Our 1 and our 2, all it's gonna give us for ranking of these abilities is damage. No cooldown, no extra CC, nothing spicy like that. So our level order on Sobek is 4, 3, 2, 1. Easy, nice and order. Remember though, at the start of the game, we grab our 3 at the start, then we get our 1, then our 2. You can, if you want to, I will give you a little variety, a little spice of life here. You can grab your 2 as your first ability, actually, to have both of your CC abilities. So that way you'd have your 2 first and then your pluck. The only problem with getting your 2 first, especially in the dual lane, is that oftentimes, if you're not communicating, what you can do is you tail whip the wave and it knocks the wave away from each other, and then it makes it so your hunter can't hit the whole wave with their ability. So then you actually end up losing lane clear because you knocked the minions all around on the first wave. It can get a little bit weird. So just to be safe, I usually go 3-1-2 instead of 2-1-3. Just waiting for my 2350 gold marker here before I back in order to get my Gauntlet of Thieves. For the matchups on Sobek, you can probably kind of guess who he is going to be good against. Sobek is a natural god to pick against compositions with healing because he has the built-in anti-heal on his 3. This Sickening Strike with a 50% healing reduction makes him a fantastic god to pick against meta healers. Raw, extraordinarily popular in the meta right now. Of course, being able to take away his healing is a wonderful start to countering Raw. He's also good against any self-sustain, so it doesn't have to be a group heal. It can be something like a Camazotz. It can be something like a Robin, those characters that have built-in sustain for themselves. Reminder that your 3 is still going to apply that anti-heal to them and is still going to affect them. On top of that, Sobek is fantastic against 2 more types of gods. 1, gods that don't have CC immunity built in their kit. This means that they are constantly forced to beads your pluck. If I was trying to pluck somebody like theoretically the Raw, he could actually just ulti my pluck and use that for the CC immunity. Compared to somebody that doesn't have a CC immunal, their only way to avoid it is going to be to preemptively like dash or use their beads if they get hit by it. On top of that, we of course have ourselves our gods with no mobility. Gods with no mobility, particularly those gods being in the duo lane, are absolutely decimated by Sobek because of how strong Pluck is. The real way to counter Pluck is to, one, obviously try to avoid it in the first place, but if you can't avoid it, which to be fair is mostly up to the Sobek landing the Pluck or not, if you just have like a leap or something, you're usually okay. So like Anher is great against Sobek. If he plucks at you, you can just throw down your ulti right away. Bada bing, bada boom. He tries to pluck you. He sits an entire Anher ulti and gets wrecked. Anher tries to pluck you. Sobek tries to pluck you. Oh, you throw down the pillar. He pillared him. He just literally plucked right into the wall like a moron. Okay. You get plucked by him. Oh, you just jump away and then you impale the targets away. So many plays that he can make against the Sobek Pluck, compared to somebody like even a Heim, who's like a good hunter and a good character, but Heim's only thing that he can do is try to teleport, right? Well, that's really hard for Heim to do because he gets plucked, back away, he's taking a bunch of damage, and then all of a sudden after the pluck, you're getting knocked up. That knock-up is a displacement. Once again, stops Heim from using his teleport. So be careful against Sobek in that regard. You want leaps, you want CC immunity, you want mobility. So somebody like Anher is absolutely perfect. Don't think of any other god right off the top of my head that does fine. You don't want to be somebody like an Artemis. While she has a CC immune ulti, if she gets plucked, she's absolutely done for. As far as gods that do good against Sobek, gods that don't care so much about being plucked. So for the most part, tanks don't have that big of a problem with Sobek. A lot of tanks tend to have CC immunity in their kit, so they tend to have some sort of immunity. Even somebody like a Robin, who isn't necessarily a tank, but he is the tankiest assassin. He's got CC immunity with his ulti. He's got the invulnerability on his 2. He's got a lot of ways to just kind of invulnerability your Pluck and keep you from putting him out of position.
An ally has been slain.
So anybody that can just consistently avoid your Plucks, obviously gods with leaps that can jump over walls. Walls are not your friend on Sobek, they are your mortal enemy. You cannot pluck through a wall, you cannot tail whip through a wall, you can't sickening strike, lurking through waters, nothing. None of Sobek's abilities go through walls. So anybody that can get over them or anybody that can make walls is your enemy. This goes for gods like Ymir, like Thor, like Yamoja. These gods are your enemies because they prevent you from landing plucks. We've all been in a classic game of Sobek where we're playing against a Ymir and we keep trying to pluck his hunter, and then his hunter keeps getting walls and we can't do anything about it. So looking at the composition, they've got 1, 2, 3 physicals, 2 magicals. One of those magicals is a support. So I need anti-heal for the Rob. The Huyi's gonna have self-sustain. The Robin's got self-sustain. So I am going to get me a contagion. Contagion is going to give me the anti-heal that I need for the Raw and against this team's sustain, while simultaneously giving me physical defense to deal with their 3 biggest damage dealers right now.
Your right tower is
Walls are the mortal enemy. Nobody wants to go for an awesome game-winning pluck, and then you get right there and you realize there's a Thor wall in between you and the target. And so even if you landed the pluck, it doesn't matter. They don't go anywhere because they're stuck on their own wall. Either way, it is a disaster. For our second active, we grabbed Heavenly Agility. Heavenly Agility and Shell are the 2 most standard actives right now picked up in the duo lane. They're pretty much interchangeable. If you're going extremely aggressive in the duo lane, you can get the Heavenly Agility first. If you just want to make sure you don't die, you grab the Shell first. Either way, it's fine. Every once in a while on Sobek, you'll see a Blink picked up. This is a viable strat. I don't personally like Blink as a first relic in the duo lane. If you're gonna get Blink as a relic on support, I much prefer it as a secondary relic. So don't get it at level 1, get it at level 12. That's just because if your enemy gets a ranked up sprint in the lane and you have Blink, a lot of times what that means is that your hunter is gonna die and they're gonna get mad and they're gonna yell at you. No matter how cool your hype gank plays are gonna be in the mid lane, 5 minutes from then, your duo lane's already gonna be raging. So just get yourself the Shell or the Heavenly from the lane, and then get yourself the Blink as your level 12 active. in order to go for the crazy plucks. So the reason why some people get blink on Sobek is because it allows you to cover so much distance with your pluck. So you can basically sit around a corner, blink over, and then pluck, and then you're gonna just cover so much distance and pluck somebody out of position.
Attack the Gold Fury.
On your general combination on Sobek, it is pretty straightforward. Step one, you're always initiating with a pluck. After your pluck, if you have your teammates right by you, follow up with the tail whip right away, immediately. That way you're maximizing that duration of CC. If your teammates are not right by you, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna land the pluck, then the 3, and then the 2. So if your teammates are by you, you're not the main source of damage, right? And so you want to maximize the CC. If your teammates are by you, you want to make sure that they get all the damage off. So 1, then 3, 2. If you're by yourself or going to be doing the damage yourself, 1, then 2, then 3. If your teammates are by you. Now there is a little bit of timing on the pluck. So when you go and pluck somebody, let me try to find a minion. When you go and pluck somebody, do not use your tail whip at the exact moment that you pluck, because the target hasn't actually hit the ground yet. You need to wait just a fraction of a second to make sure that they're on the ground. You want to be tail whipping them right as they're hitting the ground. If they're still in the air, you're not going to get the knock-up effect. You are going to lose that CC. So make sure that you're waiting for them to hit the ground. You basically want to click it right as they're about to hit the ground, so you follow up on the pluck then too. In the team fights against a composition like this, my goal is to pluck one of the squishies. So preferably I'm looking at the Woojer and the Raw. Are my main 2 targets. Be careful on Sobek as you get into the end of the game. In the earlier stages of the game, particularly sub 15 minutes, anybody is a good pluck target. Even if they're a tank, it doesn't matter. They're a good pluck target. Especially as you're getting into the end of the game, a lot of the times you'll still see Sobeks plucking like solo laners. Stop doing that. If the solo laner is any sort of big by the end of the game, as they should be, what you're doing is you're basically just positioning their solo laner closer to your squishies, and you're bringing your squishies out of position. You don't want to do that. So I do not want to pluck a Nike into my team so that my whole team gets hit by a Nike ult. That is not what I'm looking to do. That is not helpful to my team. At the 10-minute marker, plucking the Nike was fine because we can just burst her down and kill her. In this team fight, not a good idea. I'm looking for the Woojer, the Raw, or the Robin. Plucking Khepri is okay because he doesn't have a big team follow-up. He's only level 11, so that's not problematic. But I really don't want to pluck the Nike unless she's super low and our team can immediately kill her with some follow-up.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy Phoenix.
That's the only exception. Be careful about plucking big AoE tanky gods into your team. Everybody has had a Sobek on their team that plucked a big fat damage ulti right into their backline, and then they lost the team fight, and their Sobek was like, oops, my bad. Don't be that
Your team
Sobek.
has destroyed a left enemy Phoenix.
For our item after Contagion, we grabbed a Void Soak. We're getting a little bit of extra magic damage out for our Robin. Nike's ultimate is down. His jump is down. I'm going to try to pluck him back to the team now because he has no jump. He has no nothing. Unfortunately, he dies just slightly before we were going to be able to kill him. We got to actually be a little bit careful here. I'm going to come back to the back line. I went aggressive, but now I'm coming back to the back line. I'm going to throw down a Heavenly Agility and a Shell on as many people as I can. I'm going to try to zone these guys out. I want the boys to attack the Titan. I'm just going to try to zone, and now I'm actually plucking people away, potentially, from my boys. The Titan is just beating on me. I'm still tanking it. This is fine. And we're going to be able to bring down the game. So on Sobek, in those team fights at the end of the game, you have 2 jobs. You are both initiation and peel. That means you're starting the fight by plucking and looking for a quick kill. As soon as you're done plucking, you are back on the defensive and you're reverting back to your back line. So you pluck to try to start the fight and then you go back to your back line. You might not even have your pluck or your tail whip up to peel. That's okay. You want to get yourself in distance of your hunter, of your mage, for your shell, for your heavenly agility. You can throw down your ultimate as a peeling ability. Reminder that it does slow. It also scares a lot of frontline gods away because even though you are the support, it still does upwards of 1,000 damage at the end of the game if you're level 20. So never be afraid to go in at first, but then revert back. Sobek has that kind of, a lot of gods are like, you only initiate and hold down the W, or you only peel in the backline. Sobek has to do both. Go in aggressive and then peel for the backline. We grabbed the Void Stone that game because it gave us a little bit of extra damage. It also gave us that Aura Pen, a very aggressive character. It's a very normal item for you to build on Sobek if your team is winning. As we moved in further on that build, something that I would have liked more of is CDR. So I love Pridwin on Sobek, 20% CDR, a little bit of protections each, and then you get that slow after your ult. So you go into your ulti, which slows people. You pop out of it, you gain a shield. It puts that shield on you. When that shield runs out, that's also a slow. Just adds that much more annoyance into your kit. Plus that 20% extra CDR, when combined with your CDR boots, is going to be 30% CDR. That's more plucks. That's more knockups. That's more anti-heal. With a red pot, you're at 40% CDR. That means eventually you sell your cooldown boots. You get a Mantle of Discord. Now you've still got the 40% CDR. You've got all the protections, all the HP, and that, guys, is your Sobek guide.